I remember waking up in a jail cell with no recollection of why I was there or what had happened. On the desk in my jail cell was an affidavit that I was being charged with 2 counts of armed robbery. They sentenced me to 10 years in prison. I remember having this kind of internal conversation with both myself and God as I'm realizing what's ahead of me, being 18 years old. And I just kind of made this commitment inside of me up there in prayer, in the middle of working out, and I had said, I gave them 10 years of my freedom. I did that. It was my choice. But I'm not going to give them 10 years of life. And that decision really just transformed my perspective on prison and on life. Everything in prison was geared to just crush you, to break you. And I always was faced with a choice. Would I let prison and the officers, the environment, the violence, all the negativity break me? Would I let it crush me? Or would I let it make me? As I began to just dive into studying the Bible, studying business, studying marketing, learning languages, all of the guys around me just continuously ridiculed me. And kind of the best way to describe what I was faced with was a crab in the bucket syndrome. And I'm desperately fighting to get out of the bucket, break the cycle. And all the other crabs, the inmates, the officers, are desperately fighting to keep me in the bucket. Midway through my sentence, I had met this other guy who was doing his time very similar to me. He had taught himself Spanish, and I was so intrigued by just the level of commitment that he had put into just improving himself and learning everything he could. And I kind of just stuck to him like glue. And within just a couple of months of working with him, I completely learned Spanish to the point where some of the other guys saw that and they started pursuing me like, hey, Mike, will you teach me? Will you teach me? And I think this is probably my first entrepreneurial experience. One of the challenges that Tyrone had shared with me about not wanting to teach was because nobody valued his time and they never went ahead and learned. I actually had developed my own system for teaching Spanish. I told the guys, I said, I'm gonna charge them. In prison, we're not paid with money. We're paid with ramen noodle soups and tuna packets and such. And 50% of those guys learned the language, and I was totally blown away by it. And so the day finally did come. My release date came. So I walked out of prison with an expectation that the world wasn't going to accept me. Doors weren't going to open for me. People were going to reject me. They were going to judge me as the criminal that I had been 10 years before. And not only did I anticipate that, but I welcomed it. And I knew inside of me that the only way to combat that was to just continue being and living the way that I knew that I had to live. To get out of prison and earn respect instead of expecting it. And so life on the other side of prison was exactly the same. Every job that I tried to get, they would initially be extremely excited by my qualifications and the multiple languages I spoke and the things I knew, and then they'd find out about my record. And so in the midst of all of that, all the doors that shut, my wife wound up losing her job because she was married to an ex-con. So we kind of dug deep and just kind of went down this road of entrepreneurialism and just applying all of the things that we'd learned and just the situations and even more than that, the character that had been developed over all of those years. We're currently now able to help clients create high converting funnels where they can attract more clients and make more sales. And not only has the business given Robin and I financial freedom, it's also given us freedom of time, because that time freedom is so valuable where we're able to wake up and just up and take our son to the park. I know my story might be probably the most dramatic example of failure to success and challenges and haters, but no matter where we are in life, we always have a choice. No matter what situations or circumstances it is that you're facing, you always have that choice. You can let it break you, or you can let it make you. I'm Mike Pashota, inmate to entrepreneur.